Hello, cryptocurrency traders, checking in on Bitcoin and the space. We had the coin direct listing yesterday, and it was a sell the news event. That being said, there's no fear out there. Our longer term uptrends are just fine for the bulls, and you can have a sell the news event, but still have the bulls keep control overall. It doesn't mean a top has to be set. Let's look at it all and break it. So what do I mean by a sell the news event? I mean the run up the day before into the listing, and really it was a few days before, and then a pullback. It's least notable on Bitcoin. You look at that daily candle from yesterday and you say, so what? But it was a pullback of 5%. It was most notable in the stock market world. So we know coin started trading and a big drop there. I went over the trade that I did in coin yesterday in the broader market video at the end of the day yesterday. But other than that, the miners, big sell-off the last couple of days. Riot, that was MARA. This is Riot. So again, big bull day. Monday, big bear day Tuesday, and further sell-off today. And that's not surprising. I would expect some of the capital that has been allocated to the miners to find their way into Coinbase. So essentially taking some market share away from these names. And other than that, we had MSTR. Big run up the day before and a sell-off ever since. So the sell the news reaction, again, more notable in the stock market world than in the cryptocurrency space. It was there, but it's not significant. And you look at the longer term time frames and we look at this daily chart and say, well, our last daily high or low, our last daily support level was 55.4 thousand, and anything above that's a daily high or low. And we haven't even started daily consolidation. So essentially what it just led to was a 4-hour pullback that was then big enough for us to scout an equilibrium, which is exactly what we got, as opposed to if it wasn't a sell the news reaction and we would have been looking for a 4-hour bull flag and then continuation. So again, bigger picture, no big deal whatsoever. Check that off the list, got that out of the way. We're going to continue to watch coin trading and potential opportunities there and potential opportunities short. You know, I can't short on Coinbase, so you better believe I'm going to short coin when our market cycle is done for the bulls. Again, not calling any tops, but I know eventually, whether it's in 1 month or 14 years, I am going to play coin bearish when the cryptocurrency space goes bearish. So Bitcoin 4-hour equilibrium, very simple. Why was the 4-hour equilibrium the most likely scenario? The size of the retracement. If you want fib levels to help you out, you draw from the last base of support up to the high, and the pullback was about 60%. Looks like we dropped to the golden pocket there in the 60s as far as the size of the retracement, which means a lower high is than the most likely scenario on the bounce. So here we are tightening up. There's two scenarios here. We break bullish, and we're talking about all-time highs again, 65,000. Or we break bearish, we confirm the 4-hour downtrend, we zoom out knowing we're looking for a daily high or low to form with a lot of space to form it, and we watch for hourly oversold conditions if the 4-hour time frame breaks bearish. One thing that did stand out to me, Coinbase put up a lot of bear volume. Once coins started listing and some sells started to come in, you can see that the 4-hour bear volume in that maybe 7-hour period was some of the highest that we've seen since our drop down to 50,000. And that's impressive to me. That's showing me bulls are buying that dip and absorbing some of that selling pressure. Because again, if you cover up those candles and you show me those volume bars, I would say, oh, we lost the 4-hour uptrend there, when in reality we didn't. So again, no major red flags. Maybe we need to see daily consolidation, absolutely, but I'm only going to be talking about red flags when the daily higher lows are lost from here. And really, it's when the weekly higher lows, because the weekly higher lows have been intact since this move started many months ago, 6+ months ago, whereas the daily higher lows have obviously been lost along the way multiple times and then recovered. The dominance chart continues its downward spiral, and it's becoming more and more clear to me at this point that we will not see this chart bounce until the cryptocurrency space has topped as a whole. In my opinion, all we got to do is look back to 2017 and see very similar action. We'll go to the daily time frame. So 2017, when we were all bulls in the space as a whole. Let's go to the weekly. Too much scrolling. So the weekly time frame, when we were all bulls in the space, we topped out December 2017 for Bitcoin. And that was our climax blow off top. And we just absolutely saw weakness leading up into that. It's not the same magnitude here. We dropped way faster and harder, where the Bitcoin dominance was cut in half in a month's time. And here we've been pulling back for the same number of weeks roughly, but that cut is, 10% plus. So it's not the same magnitude. And again, I'm not calling any tops, but in my opinion, to get out of this downward dominant spiral, it will have to be the cryptocurrency space topping as a whole and everything pulling back and the altcoins dropping a lot harder because they're running a lot harder. And we know when things run really hard, they don't create a lot of supports on the way up. And then once we finally do see a top and a significant shift of the scales between supply and demand, that's when the alts drop faster. So in my opinion, we will see continued small bounces along the way, but I would be extremely surprised if this dominance chart just started setting up a daily trend change in a slow fashion and shifting momentum meaningfully without there being, a major shakeup in the cryptocurrency space as a whole. Because if Bitcoin is not gaining dominance when it's hitting all-time highs, in my opinion, it has to be, if we're not doing it on the way up for Bitcoin, it's going to have to be on the way down. So just something to be aware of. But again, not something we're worried about in the short term on a day-to-day basis. We're just talking bigger picture mindset here. ETH/USD, beautiful bullish follow through, new all-time highs with a lot of follow through over the double top of 2200. It's another rising wedge that broke bullish. Again, we've seen plenty of them, and I will constantly continue to point out rising wedges with the constant caveat that they have been breaking bullish in this very bullish market environment. So it was definitely a pattern I was keeping an eye on, and the bulls are very pleased to convincingly get over that level. So from here, tons of space for a daily higher low. We just had a 4-hour bull flag confirmed. The bulls are attempting another little 4-hour bull flag. The ETH BTC chart is back in the spotlight for bulls. So how this has played out, and again, when I say spotlight, I mean you're in the ideal bull scenario, which is when your US dollar pairing and your Bitcoin pairing are correlated and doing the same thing in a bullish manner. ETH entered the spotlight here, where it's US dollar and BTC pairing were doing the same thing. It then lost the spotlight and it faded while we traded sideways, and then it's back in the spotlight again. So what do I mean by that? The 4-hour time frame, consolidation right now and a potential bull flag, we're doing the same thing. And you might look at this and say, well, but the US dollar pairing pulled back here. We weren't correlated. That's just fine for the bulls. The criteria is the BTC pairing needs to stay stronger. It needs to be correlated in the same way or stronger. You only start to get little red flags that we're losing the spotlight when you start to see the BTC pairing weaker than the US dollar pairing. So as long as we keep doing the same thing as the US dollar pairing or stronger, do the same thing or better, it remains in the spotlight and helps push this blue sky bull further and further. XRP USD. So XRP USD has been in the spotlight as well for a while. I don't care what your opinion on XRP is, it's been one of the strongest altcoins over the last few days, and that's all that matters to us traders. It's a daily inside bar right now. We've seen a higher low every single day for a long time. When that pattern breaks, it'll be an obvious shift in momentum into daily consolidation, and we've got a 4-hour equilibrium right now. High, low, lower high, and the bulls attempting a higher low compared to 157. The best entries on XRP have been on these oversold bounces. The volatility is beautiful. You see an hourly oversold drop, and the bounce, it wasn't even hourly. Let's go to the 15-minute, but just getting crushed to the downside. The drops are just as brutal and fast, absolutely. But if you have cash and you're an altcoin trader, you're looking at these back burner trades for these bounces. So here's one where it wasn't even a very successful bounce, and it was 10%, then another huge leg down, and then another very quick 15% bounce or so, maybe a 13% bounce. So day trading opportunity on the names that are in the spotlight and seeing the biggest bull moves. You want to be breaking down what you're watching into two categories. If you're an altcoin trader, you want to be watching the names that are in the spotlight, the strongest names, because their oversold bounces are generally the best coming off of that spotlight. And then you want to be watching the names that have been consolidating for a prolonged period of time to get their turn, because we know if the cryptocurrency space stays in a bullish environment, that we're just playing musical chairs and profits are going to these names, to these names, to these names, and they're just profits just rotating around. So you want to find names that had run previously and have been consolidating for days or for weeks, and keep an eye on them for when the shift goes back in their favor. And that happened to Binance. Maybe I'm going to get my dates wrong, but a long time ago, Binance led the cryptocurrency space up and then completely lost interest for what felt like months, and then now it's making its huge resurgence. So there are names that have led the way and been in the spotlight and are now fading. And those are the names to pay attention to the shift back in their favor. So again, XRP still in the spotlight and is a name for playing oversold bounces. And we're watching for daily consolidation to begin here. And then bulls will be watching for a daily higher low entry. But again, the XRP BTC pairing is doing the exact same thing. Higher low every single day, daily inside bar today. So that's a good sign to remain in the spotlight. Have to see the BTC pairing start to weaken versus the US dollar pairing for us to say the spotlight is fading and interest is going elsewhere. Sushi USDT is an example of a name that was in the spotlight, bulls in complete control for the run up to all-time highs, but since then we've been consolidating for a month. So what do? We watch closely. There's no red flags here. Yeah, it's a month of pullback, but we got the weekly EMA 12. We're in a weekly uptrend, and the bulls are losing, the bears are losing momentum. It's a daily falling wedge. We had a bear break by less than a penny. We then had a bear break that went straight into a bounce. So I look at that pattern and say, okay, well, that's a falling wedge. What does a falling wedge tell me? The bears are running out of momentum. They're extended and exhausted to the downside. That lines up with the bigger picture, most likely scenario that a weekly higher low is going to form. So here's your falling wedge. 4 days ago on April 11th, here's your post. Sushi USDT and Bitcoin pairings, daily falling wedge watch. Bulls need to show up and ensure that the bear breaks continue to lack follow through. So that was on April 11th. We got the bull break, and the bears have lacked follow through since, and the bulls have been in control. Look at the BTC pairing at that same point in time. The weekly time frame is a much different view, but the daily was the same falling wedge. So you had the spotlight start to brighten on this name. After being dim for a month, we had bull breaks of falling wedges. I'm using the 12-hour time frames to show these falling wedges. But bull breaks of the falling wedges on both pairings at the same time, and that has led to a solid 4-day move on these names. How much follow through will we see? We'll have to keep an eye on it and watch our 4-hour uptrends, watch the correlations. But again, a name that's been consolidating. Who else has been consolidating? Theta. So Theta is now seeing a weekly pullback. Again, spotlight, massive spotlight. Everybody's talking about Theta. It's the most popular coin because it's running really hard, huge gains, and then the spotlight faded, and we were talking about this spotlight fading probably on the video from March 30th if you really want to go back and look at it, because we had a US dollar break of this resistance and the BTC pairing failed there, and that was the first sign that the spotlight was dimming. So we have weekly inside bars on the USDT pairing, and we have weekly bear break on the BTC pairing. There are no red flags on this BTC chart. We're looking for a weekly higher low, but I can see the BTC pairing is still a bit weaker than the US dollar pairing, so I know the spotlight is not brightening on this name yet, but I'm going to continue watching for it to do so. Bear break at the moment has a lack of follow through. Watch for Theta. Again, if Bitcoin, the criteria is Granddaddy Bitcoin has to stay healthy, and we have to stay confident that we're in a bull market still. So that's keeping a daily uptrend, trading sideways, or going up. Any of those three scenarios, and the broader market bulls still have confidence. So we're still watching for laggard plays as long as that is our setup. Binance is another name that we're watching for a shift back to the bulls. We had the sell, we had the top being hit leading into the coin IPO. That is not surprising because again, it was a hype run up of the exchange coin here, getting hype and attention from coin, getting its listing. That marked the top for now, but it's a daily bull flag. So what are we watching? We're watching our BTC pairing. Okay, still correlated, doing the same thing. Spotlight is still there. Everything has cooled off. We had a 4-hour bear break with a lack of follow through. So this is telling us watch for the shift in momentum back to the bulls. Let's see if we can confirm a daily bull flag. Litecoin. Litecoin has a key test coming up here. The BTC pairing is what I care about more. The US dollar pairing is a 4-hour equilibrium, right up near resistance, no red flags. And the BTC pairing is a 4-hour rising wedge, another one, and it's trying to break out just like ETH did on its daily chart. So yes, this is absolutely a rising wedge, but we know in this market environment, the odds, if you tell me this is a 4-hour rising wedge in a weekly downtrend, I would say the odds of a bear break are, I'm just making up random numbers, but odds of a bear break 72%. If you tell me we're in a blue sky breakout euphoria market and we've seen all the previous rising wedges that have broken bullish, then I say odds of a bear break are maybe 45%. So the prevailing longer term action definitely matters. And here is a resistance test. And if we get this bull breakout on the BTC pairing, then the US dollar pairing is going to head to higher highs. And the next resistance level up here, we're looking at 300 psychological. And again, we're in the spotlight. XRP and LTC are two weakest names from a few weeks ago that were not participating, got their turn in the rotation game, and they are still in the spotlight from that shift. And we can see resistance 300 and 304 is a key level as well. And those levels are approaching. And by the time this video uploads, we may be breaking out of this rising wedge. Congrats to the altcoin bulls. There is a lot of money out there. For me personally, what I've been doing, I haven't been trading as actively in this space. Again, just conservative up here. I did make an entry back into Bitcoin in the upper 55,000s when some bull volume showed up. I sold it on the pullback yesterday, again, being extra conservative, not wanting to be caught in the sell the news if that's what we saw. So I exited around 63,000, just scaled out a good bit of that swing position. And again, I'm not sharing my trades as much publicly just because my scenario is so much different than so many other people's. You have people that are looking to change their lives this year. You have people like me that have smashed my goals for the year, and I am in conservative mode. I'm not giving any of that back. I'm okay with missing moves up because, again, my no-touch position is constantly increasing in size of my net worth. It started at 3% maybe 8 months ago, and now it's over 10%. So I am perfectly fine being only in my long-term no-touch positions and benefiting through that. When I have some short-term confidence, I increase my exposure with short-term positions, whether it's a day trade or a swing trade. And then once I am no longer in as confident a spot, I take that extra risk off and I stay with my, what for me is exactly as big as I want it to be, long-term no-touch positions. So again, find the style of trading that matches you. Because right now, if I were looking to change my life this year, I'd be staying up all hours of the night. I would be actively trading the altcoin space, and I would be shaping my life around this market opportunity, knowing that once we're out of this bull market, I won't have that opportunity again for potentially a few years, just like 2017 into now. All right, have a good rest of your day. Do good things, and we'll see you next time. Congrats to the bulls. We got raspberries and blueberries and raspberries putting their leaves on. Big maple trees starting to flex. Over the next week or two, once we're clear the possibility of frost, plant these potatoes. I got 4 different varieties of potato starts. And one of these you can cut up. As long as you've got an eye that's growing, I could cut this up into 3 different plants. Potatoes are fairly easy to grow. They definitely have their pests depending on what region you're in. And they require a little bit of maintenance. You have to put mounds around the plants a couple times a year. But I'd say it's one of the easier plants that you can grow. It's worth a shot. You can do it in all kinds of different containers. Other than that, we got a lot more bulbs to plant. We got dahlias and lilies. I don't even know what I got. Tiger lily. And I'm gonna put those all along this back wall, right on the edge there, in front of these bushes.